Hello everyone. Today's story is called All the Way to the Top. How one girl's fight for Americans with disabilities changed everything. The words are by Annette Bay Pimentel, pictures by Nabi H. Ali, and the foreword is by Jennifer Keelan Chaffins. Now this picture is based on Jennifer. So Jennifer was a real girl who was born with cerebral palsy. And I'm just going to go straight to the foreword and what she says about being born with cerebral palsy. I'm not going to read all of this, but I think it's important to give you a little bit of background. I was born with cerebral palsy, which means that I use a wheelchair to help me get around every day. From a young age, I learned that buses, museums, libraries, and even schools that were accessible to my able-bodied peers were not accessible to me because there were no wheelchair ramps. Imagine not being able to join in with your friends because you can't get into the building where they're meeting. I felt left out and did not like being separated from everyone, especially my younger sister Kaylee. As my family and I realised that people with disabilities were not treated as equally as able-bodied people, we decided to join the disability rights movement to help change things for the better. So that's really where our story unfolds. So events in this story lead to a very important event at the end known as the Capitol Crawl, and a very important law being passed in the United States of America. Now, you'll understand more about this by the end of the story. So let's begin. Jennifer Keelan may be small, but her voice is mighty. Yee-haw! Snowball responds, speeding up from walk to a trot. Jennifer loves to go fast, but she knows she'll soon have less time for riding since she's finally old enough for school. She can't wait to make new friends. She's ready to go. The school's not far. Jennifer rolls outside, down the sidewalk to the corner. But stop. A 4-inch curb is a cliff to someone who uses a wheelchair. Her grandpa eases her wheelchair over the curb. Though the drop jolts Jennifer, she makes it to the building. But stop. The school says Jennifer doesn't belong there because she uses a wheelchair. Instead, Jennifer and her mum find a different school that says she can attend kindergarten, but only for part of the afternoon, when lunch is over. As Jennifer rolls in each day, everyone is already busy. She has to figure out what's going on and how to join in. Since most kids have never met someone who uses a wheelchair, her classmates are confused and even a little afraid. You'll never be one of us, some of them say. Jennifer knows they're wrong. She's just a friend waiting to happen. But how do you change someone's mind? She's not sure, but she's not about to give up. Jennifer and her family hear about activists. So activists are people who fight for change, who fight for people's rights, usually in a peaceful way through demonstrations and things. So her family hear about activists who are working to make sure people with disabilities have access to public places like schools. They want to know more, so they attend a strategy meeting. Jennifer has never seen anything like it. The room is full of grown-ups with all sorts of disabilities. Some use wheelchairs, some use canes. None of them are sitting around waiting for things to change. They're shouting, laughing, and planning a big protest to get wheelchair lifts on buses. They turn to Jennifer. Do you want to come? Yes, she wants to. Go. Downtown, Jennifer rolls to the microphone and tells her story. She leads marchers through the streets chanting, The people united will never be defeated. It feels good to speak up for what she believes in. She can't wait to do it again. She's raring to go. She protests in Phoenix, rolls through streets in San Francisco, waves signs in Montreal. The demonstrations don't always change people's minds, but Jennifer's used to that. Even when her neighbourhood school finally agrees she can attend, she and her classmates with disabilities aren't allowed to eat in the cafeteria with everyone else. That hurts, but she keeps going. Working with other activists revs her up, yet she can't help noticing that she and her sister are usually the only kids out there raising their voices. Still, she can't leave all the protesting to grown-ups. She knows firsthand that children with disabilities get ignored too, so she keeps speaking up. When Jennifer is 8, activists propose a new law called the Americans with Disabilities Act, or ADA. The law insists schools, governments and businesses make room for all people, including those with disabilities. Jennifer feels like dancing. If the law passes, it means sidewalks with curb cuts, buildings with ramps in addition to steps, and elevators with braille panels. It means Jennifer and her classmates with disabilities can finally go to the cafeteria with everyone else for lunch. Jennifer and her family watch the news for updates on the ADA, but reporters never mention it. She switches off the TV in frustration, wishing she could change reporters' minds on what's worth talking about. Instead, the Keelans get their updates about the ADA when activist friends call. It's bad news. Members of Congress say the law will be too complicated and too expensive. They say it's just not worth it. Since the news station is ignoring people with disabilities, Jennifer and her friends are determined to find another way to make Congress hear their voices. It's go time. Her family buys plane tickets to Washington, D.C. That's where the president lives. As they march down Pennsylvania Avenue, Jennifer has never shouted louder. The ADA! What do we want? The ADA! When do we want it? Now! You can see all the protesters. Finally, they reach the US Capitol. But stop! A mountain of steps block Jennifer and other people using wheelchairs from the building where the Congress makes laws. Grown-ups slide out of their wheelchairs and start pulling themselves up the steps. They will make sure members of Congress know they are here. Jennifer's heart races. This is what she's been shouting about. I want to climb the steps, she says. But stop. The grown-ups think she's too young. You can't do it. Jennifer knows this is not just about her. It's about her friends at school who were shut out of the cafeteria at lunch. It's about millions of other kids she's never met who get stopped at every turn. Jennifer wants to speak up for all the kids with disabilities who aren't there. I need to climb the steps. Look at the look of determination on her face there, everybody. She slides out of her wheelchair, scoots along the sidewalk to the bottom of the stairway and puts her hands on the first step. She hauls herself up. Tiny bits of dirt and rock dig into her skin. She drags herself up another step. The crowd roars. Reporters surround her with cameras and microphones, recording her gutsy climb. I'll take all night if I have to, she vows, and she keeps heaving, hauling, dragging herself up those steps. She keeps going all the way to the top. Pictures of Jennifer climbing the steps flash around the world. Reporters start talking about the Ada bill. Members of Congress see the news, listen to the activists, and finally pass the Ada. We can see it down here being written into law. So this is going to give Jennifer and all her friends with disabilities more rights, more civil rights. Laws like the Ada don't change things overnight. Entrances have to be rebuilt, sidewalks redesigned, buses re-engineered. Slowest of all, minds have to change. So Jennifer will continue shouting and waving signs, organising and explaining. She will continue fighting for what she knows is right. Jennifer has places to go, and nothing will stop her now. So, I hope that you enjoyed this story. I'm just going to show you a picture at the back of the book, and this is a real picture of Jennifer doing the Capitol crawl. And you can see I think she was 9 years old when she did that. And I just think that's pretty amazing. A little girl pulled herself up 83 steps to try to help change come about for herself and her friends. So the Capitol crawl, if you want to keep listening, was a demonstration designed to convince lawmakers to pass the Ada by showing them how difficult it was for people with disabilities to move around in public spaces. The dramatic crawl up the Capitol steps was planned in secret. Adult planners told Jennifer she shouldn't do the climb. They worried both that it would be too difficult for a child and that people watching her would assume adults with disabilities are childlike. But Jennifer wanted to represent kids with disabilities, and that day Reverend Wade Blank advised her, do what is in your heart, and so she climbed. So the law that was passed was the Americans with Disabilities Act, or ADA, and this protects people with all sorts of disabilities, not just physical, but mental and emotional disabilities. Because of the ADA, public buildings have ramps as well as steps. Elevators have braille panels, and TVs have closed captioning. The ADA supports the efforts of people with disabilities to go to school, to compete for jobs, and to live independently. This is what Jennifer and her fellow protesters were fighting for at the Capitol crawl. I really hope you enjoyed today's story, girls and boys. I think that Jennifer is amazing. I thought this was a very powerful story, and it made me feel really emotional, and it made me feel that anything can be achieved if we really put our hearts into it. Well done, Jennifer. Bye.